recording, and we will be going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. Gosh, got tongue-tied there. But yeah, no, so it is currently, 8:03. Sorry, we're running a little bit late this morning. Had some technical difficulties with the computer. Still kind of struggling with it right now. But yeah, so it is about 78 degrees outside right now, and it's already muggy. Like, I mean, I put my sunglasses here on this morning, walked out the door, immediately fogged up. So it's going to be hot today, high of 100 degrees, so be prepared for that. If you're going to be outside, make sure you have a water source, and if you're not, congratulations, you're one of the people that will get to work inside, and you are going to be enjoying the luxury of air conditioning. So with that being said, traffic conditions going in Tulsa are actually pretty slow. In fact, it actually just kind of started flowing more normally now. So if you haven't left yet, you might consider taking a different route because traffic just now is starting to kind of flow a little smoother than it had been literally like 5 minutes ago. In fact, it's still going pretty slow back over here by the Y, so be prepared. It's alternate route like 75 or Mingo might be a better alternative at this particular juncture. Now, that being said, no real changes to the local event calendar, so we're just going to push right on into our main subject of today, which is the left ruins everything, and our kind of logo is the more you know. But I don't know. We didn't have, again, it's been a slow news week, which again is a good thing. But so we just kind of had a amalgamation of videos that aren't all connected or relevant to each other, but we just figured we'd show you a bunch of clips and give you our thoughts on them. So whenever you're ready, Chad, we'll just kind of sporadically talk about the news.
All right, you have one that you'd like to
No,
talk
I don't.
about?
I mean, literally, the order is irrelevant to me.
All right, well, then let's start off with this guy right here. This is what we were talking about yesterday. This is a British or, UK court sentencing a man for a Facebook post.
Okay.
So, very, very odd stuff that we've got going on. Let me go ahead and get rid of this. Get rid of this. Get rid of that. Boom. And then we'll go ahead and make sure I've got my audio levels up.
All right.
And we're good to go.
All right, let's see what they got to say.
Not want your money going to immigrants who, quote, rape our kids and get priority, end quote. This offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable. Would you stand, please? The sentence that I pass has been reduced by 1/3 to reflect your guilty plea. The sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment. Went on to say that you did not want your money going to immigrants who, quote...
Are you serious? So the UK is fundamentally not a serious country. Like, they will seriously punish you for speaking your mind and having an opinion on where you want your tax dollars going. Again, this is sad. Again, in the UK, they do not prosecute Islamic people or Middle Eastern looking people for horrible offenses against young girls. There is a sentencing disparity against citizens and non-citizens. And again, this guy just made a Facebook post going, I don't want my money going to immigrants that sexually abuse young girls. Is it all immigrants? No, it doesn't. But like I said, the generality still makes sense. And you, as a citizen, have a right to complain and talk about where you want your tax dollars going to and what you don't want them going to. That's totally fine. But in the UK, guess what? You will be prosecuted for speaking your mind and having opinions that the mainstream do not agree with. Pathetic. The UK is a pathetic country now. It's sad. Again, 1,200 people were arrested in the UK for thought crimes, for Facebook and social media posts.
Mm-hmm.
That's more than triple, more than quadruple what Russia has arrested people for. Which country's freer?
Yep. Then next one I have here is also related to this England thing that you sent me. is The Guardian. A Sutton man, 61, who chanted, "Who the F is Allah," is jailed for 18 months.
Who the F is Allah? 18 months prison sentence for offending Muslims? I mean, you can literally do and say anything you want about Jesus Christ. You can say or hurl the worst insults in the world against Christians. But you can say, who the F is Allah? And goodbye, freedom. Yeah, the UK has fallen. There is no freedom of speech there, but there never was. So, that's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
What a sad state of affairs.
Yeah. This next one that I have is of it's Joe Rogan's take on this, but of Kamala Harris getting upset about people saying Merry Christmas.
Okay. Check it out.
Talking about how dare we wish Merry Christmas to people?
No.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Did you see the clip of her talking about how dare
Dude, that is good stuff.
Yeah.
That was like where Trump was like, "There's an attack on Christmas." How could you not say there's an attack on Christmas with something like that right there?
Yeah, how dare you say Merry Christmas? I mean, obviously we got it clipped out of context, but yeah, I mean, it's so dumb. So dumb. I mean, but yeah, I mean, there's been an attack on Christmas and Christians for a long time in this country, but, you know, they would have you believe that it's all nonsense. And again, it's the desensitization to Christianity. You know, I mean, Family Guy can make all the jokes they want about Jesus and whatnot, and Christians will even have a good laugh at them. You know, they'll be like, "Man, it's borderline blasphemous," but, you know, we're okay with laughing at ourselves. We're okay with laughing at what people might consider absurdities. But you know what? You know who you can't criticize? You can't criticize Islam. You can't criticize anybody else. No other religions can be made fun of in that way.
Yeah, other religions always seem to be off limits to
Criticism
because that's offensive. That's their culture. Well, how is Christianity not our culture? You know, it's
Yeah.
weird.
Well, we're the dominant culture, and we're the majority race, so
But we're the dominant culture in our countries. We're not the dominant culture in
the
other
world
countries.
on the global stage. Yeah, we're actually the minority on the global stage. So
Mhm. Next one here is this kid talking about how the Democratic Party is not really democratic anymore because nobody voted for Kamala Harris. She
Yeah.
was appointed, and they say this is what democracy looks like, and he's like, this is in fact not what democracy looks like.
yeah, give it a go.
Show me what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy.
The Democratic Party right now is the opposite of what democracy looks like. You guys did not vote for Kamala Harris. She was chosen by President Biden. Then President Biden was basically bullied out of the presidential race, at which point delegates formally chose her as the Democratic nominee. You guys did not vote for her. This is the opposite of what democracy looks like. Not only that, but remember when you guys tried to remove Trump from the ballot entirely in Colorado so people wouldn't even have the option to vote for Trump if they wanted to? But sure, you guys are defending democracy. And the whole convicted felon thing, yeah, that's just you guys weaponizing the law to go after your political opposition. And no, this isn't some Trump conspiracy. Even Alan Dershowitz said that the whole convicted felon thing is the worst legal verdict he has seen in 60 years. You know, the Harvard Law School Alan Dershowitz. You know, the Democratic Party Alan Dershowitz. And don't even talk to me about election denialism, because you guys are very familiar with that. The Democrats used this tale of Russian collusion to undermine the legitimacy of Trump's 2016 victory. It's now admitted that the FBI should have never launched that investigation. So yeah, the party that claims to fight for our democracy really by all measures seems to be fighting against it.
I mean, well said. Well said. I mean, we said that whenever Joe Biden dropped out. It's like nobody voted for her. You know, there's no DNC primary for her. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, she didn't get a single delegate when she ran against Joe.
Yeah. So who voted for her? Nobody. This is literally Democrats. This is This is Democratic oligarchy of officials appointing people like, this is who we think should be. In which, I know a lot of people will say that, Bernie Sanders wasn't taken out of this, but, for those people who are still diehard believers that Bernie was cheated out of the election, this is the exact same thing. But again, you're going to ignore it because, what? You dislike Donald Trump because he makes mean tweets or whatever.
Yep.
It's
Sad.
ridiculous.
Sad state of affairs, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead and read this one you got pulled up
This
here.
next one I have here is just kind of a funny little meme. It says it's the soy boy liberal guy being like, if you homeschool your kids, they won't fit into society. And it shows what society is: transgender, communists, all these protesters, blue-haired feminist types, mask wearers and stuff.
Yeah.
And just like, I don't want my kids fitting in with that type of society. I'd rather homeschool them.
Yeah. I mean, it kind of reminds me of that meme. I don't need your adoration or your approval. I've seen what makes you cheer.
Yeah, I've seen what makes you clap. I don't need your adoration or to fit in with you.
Yeah, I don't need your approval. I've seen what makes you cheer. That's a take on that meme, essentially. So, or that phrase. So yeah, I mean, it's sad, but I mean, that's the sad state of affairs, man. Like, I mean, you just have a bunch of crazies out there right now that are a very small minority of people who are basically ruining everything for everyone. Mm-hmm. And they go, no, we're trying to make things more inclusive. It's like, no, you're trying to make the world revolve around you.
Yeah.
You're being very selfish, is what I would say.
100%. This next one that I have here.
Oh, yeah, feeds into the conspiracy theories.
Yeah, we're getting deep into conspiracy theory realm, but apparently this is true because it has data. Mm-hmm. I mean, there is data that shows this, but a cell phone data shows that a frequent visitor to Crooks and the FBI building. So, mobile ad data analysis by the Heritage Foundation Oversight Project revealed that someone who regularly visited Thomas Crooks in Pennsylvania home also visited a building in D.C. near the FBI office. So, there's a big conspiracy running around now that we didn't even get into, that the FBI was probably grooming, someone in the FBI was probably grooming this kid to do this.
There, for sure. I mean, look, here's the sad truth. Like, does anybody even remember? Like, this is why I hate the modern news cycle, man. Like, everyone can tell you everything they can say, can talk to you about Watergate left and right, but no. Does anybody remember the Gretchen Whitmer case? The right wing militia that was going to kidnap Governor Gretchen Whitmer, or Whitmer, is that her name? Whitmer of Michigan. Does anybody remember this? Because I sure do. It turned out there were more FBI undercover agents involved in that than there were actual people who were wanting to kidnap her. And it turns out it was all entrapment. All the FBI guys were the ones encouraging these basically dumb redneck guys to they were encouraging them to, hey, we should kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. We should do an assassination attempt or something along those lines. And it was FBI agents doing all of it. They orchestrated all of it. It turns out like 9 of the 12 guys in the case were all FBI agents who were supposed to be brought up on trial. 9 of the actual people who were supposed to be on trial were FBI agents. So I have no doubt in my mind that there's some FBI links to this kid. They were talking to this kid, trying to convince him to do it. Whether or not they thought he would take it that far, but I mean, they are cultivating these people. They're encouraging these people. The FBI is making sure it's keeping itself alive. The FBI is creating crimes in order to stop crimes so they can justify their existence. And the guy who did the Gretchen Whitmer, who was in charge of all that, is like a swinger, like a degenerate swinger who's had multiple affairs, beat his ex-wife, and he's just trying to stay in. And he's a diversity hire who's just trying to stay in the FBI and work his way up the ladder. Because, it's kind of like failing upwards.
Yeah, nepotism. Again, nepotism. Even if you fail at your job, they're going to promote you anyway. That is the government, because the government doesn't ever fire anybody.
Yeah. So it's crazy. It's absolutely insane. But yeah, no, I mean, I have no doubt that this guy had contacts in the FBI. Whether or not he knew they were in the FBI, he probably didn't. But I guarantee you the FBI knows far more about this kid than they're letting on. Because, again, his house was completely sterile when they went there. He didn't even have any forks or silverware in the house. Like, there was nothing. All of his social media wiped. What? He's like, what, a 20-something-year-old guy? What 20-something-year-old guy doesn't have a social media presence?
Yeah. He's not Amish.
Yeah, he's not Amish. So there's something going on here. There's something very fishy about it.
The only other way that you could possibly interpret this as is maybe somebody in his family or friend group was trying to report him to the FBI, but that doesn't make that argument doesn't hold a lot of water because his parents were like
They would
completely
want to
taken
cooperate.
aback by
what happened.
the news. So weird stuff. The next one I have here is on the Sean Ryan show, he has a former member of the Taliban or something on his show, or somebody that just lives in Afghanistan talking about all the weapons and equipment that we left behind.
Okay.
So just another thing that the left ruined.
Back to Afghanistan, if you can believe it. We gave them $85 billion. You know, they're one of the largest sellers of military equipment in the world. They're selling what we gave them. That was one of the most embarrassing days in the history of our country.
What happened to all of the equipment, the weapons, the vehicles, the ammunition, the night vision that the U.S. had there stockpiled that we were using for the past 20 years? What happened to all that?
The Taliban have all of them, and it's not just the Taliban. We're talking about $86 billion worth of bases, equipment, military equipment, and the items that you mentioned. All were left for the Taliban, and the Taliban are very generous with their brethren in Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Hamas has them, Haqqani has them, Pakistani Taliban, Tehrik-e-Taliban, they have them. The Taliban have given those weapons to everyone. They're even found in places like Yemen. They're found in North Africa. All of these weapons were left behind. The way I look at it, it's the last gift-wrapped item that Mr. Biden left for the Taliban. And they're using that against the Afghan people. Once they're done with the Afghan people, they're going to continue marching west.
We gave $85 billion of it back to Afghanistan.
So, in my personal opinion, remember how when Trump was in office, we didn't hear about ISIS, especially after the Moab that we dropped.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like
Moab, mother of all bombs.
Yeah, mother of all bombs. And then it's almost like Biden and the Democrats and the deep state purposely wanted to leave all this weapon and equipment behind to get the Taliban and ISIS back in the game and on the radar so that way they can start back up the military-industrial complex again.
Yeah. Start making more weapons. Let's start hiring more contracts. Getting more money moving, circulating through. But yeah, sad
So
state of affairs.
but that's the only two things. You'd argue he did this purposely to get, to get military funding back up for the war effort, or two, he's a complete fool that did this on accident and left all that weapon and equipment behind.
Yeah.
That's the only two options that are here.
Either one is sad.
Yeah. But that's the next one. And the next one is also Sean Ryan show event going on, talking about how we essentially were paying all the Afghan families reparations.
What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you didn't see this one?
Check it out.
That comes on the airplane and comes into Afghanistan. The amount of money on the plane weekly is $43 million to $87 million. But one thing I want Americans to understand is in that bucket of the $40 million we send each week, we are paying basically welfare to the Taliban martyrs' families. So every Taliban member who died during the war with us, the U.S. government is paying them a stipend, the family. So our families of Americans who died there aren't getting squat, but we are paying Taliban families for basically dying while attacking us.
Remember this video the next time you go to fill up your gas tank, buy groceries, or pay taxes. The draw out of Afghanistan was a disgrace. Wait until you hear this.
The $40 million a week that comes on the airplane and comes.
That is what I was talking about. And this is a former CIA operator. I'm pretty sure this is the one that Zero Dark 30 was about.
Wow.
That's who she is.
That's pathetic. So, again, not only are we paying a welfare state here to degenerate and bad, irresponsible citizens here in the United States, we're paying our enemies who fought against our troops in foreign countries a stipend so they can be trained, eat, and hate us more.
100%.
Wow.
100%.
Man.
This is happening.
Sad state of affairs, man. Sad
Mhm.
state of affairs.
And the last couple I've got, which we can cut them short if we need to, but this one right here is talking about how the left is invading and coming into churches.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll play that one real quick. We can end it on that.
And then the next one is James O'Keefe talking about Disney actually openly providing gender-affirming care and surgery for children.
Yeah.
For their employees' children.
I might need to cancel my Disney Plus account.
I thought you already did.
No, I still have it. It's just kind of one of those things you just forget you have it. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, might want to. So which one do you want to delve into first here, or do you want to just do one?
Let's skip the James O'Keefe one. We've talked extensively about James O'Keefe and Disney's wrongdoings. We'll go ahead and watch how the modern churches are being infiltrated by left-wing bad faith actors.
All right, here we go.
Policies and politicians.
What are some of the things you might start looking for if you're starting to think that your church might be leaning in a certain direction?
If they're bringing in something like a curriculum to say, here's how we're going to be less politically divisive. The second is if they start to use this sort of churchy jargon that is used to mask what the actual policy is underneath. If they say something like creation care, what they really mean usually is climate change. And so what they're looking to do, its purpose is to get you to back anti-human climate change policies. So when you hear that churchy jargon, man, you should start asking, what are we talking about here? If they're demanding that you love your neighbor with your vote in a particular way, you should really ask, okay, are you defining what love your neighbor means in a political meaning, like we have to support open borders legislation, even though it can actually be very damaging to your citizen neighbor to back policies like that. So these are all very manipulative things that they do. Look, pastors may not be savvy to this themselves. They may not realize who's bankrolling a lot of these things like this after party curriculum. So the best thing you can do is when you hear it, first talk to your pastor and say, listen, do you know who's funding this? Do you know where this is coming from? Because he may not. And I think we all have a duty to sort of let these very busy clergy and these very busy ministry leaders help them maybe step back from it if they didn't really know. Christianity Today, that's Billy Graham's magazine. So you trust it, and I get it, but you cannot trust it anymore because it is now left-wing funded and it's promoting left-wing policies and politicians.
What are some of the things you might start looking for?
Yeah, we've just restarted now, but that's it. Like the left-wing people are come into places, invade it, and take it over and bring in their ideology. It's like with schools or anything else.
It's a subtle manipulation too. So I mean, they just start getting funding, and then they say, "Hey, you should talk about this in your sermons." And I'm sure the priests and pastors who, again, it's church. You know, it's all donation funded, so they're thrilled to have these funds and to be able to do more with their congregation and make repairs to the church or do more, push that money farther, go out and do more mission trips. But you have to be aware of who is funding you. You have to. This is why the best way to get funding is just through, tithing and church donations. But you have these bad faith organizations coming in, funding stuff, but going, you should also talk about this. That's where, if you're a pastor and a pastor who's worth your salt, you should question why they want you to talk about certain things and how, and if they tell you you have to broach a conversation a certain way, just say, I don't need your money. Have integrity. There has to be, the whole point of Christianity is you have to talk about Jesus. Jesus is the key figure, and you can't paint Jesus as this left-wing socialist. Quit painting Jesus as the hippie who just wants everyone to love everybody and he'd be cool with you smoking pot and doing nothing all day. It's no. Jesus was a lion, man. He pulled out his sword and chased out the Pharisees out of the church. He was not a pushover dude.
Yeah, people who were using the church for ill means, he constantly berated and went after.
Yeah. So be cautious of who funds you. It's the same. Pastors, it's the same way with, they have the same temptations OnlyFans girls do. Or, 18-year-old girls who are thinking about joining OnlyFans. The money sounds good, but is it worth your integrity? Is it worth your soul? Think about that. That's what matters, man. So that's about all I've got for you today. We just wanted to just general topics today. We actually ran way longer than I thought we would. But yeah, that's all we've got for you today. This is the Twins with Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. That's about all I've got for you today. God bless you.
See you later, everybody.